First tonight, there is a network of agencies across our state that work tirelessly to rescue and find new homes for animals. Maine, in particular, has a reputation for doing this work exceptionally well.
One of the organizations in this network is the Maine State Society for the Protection of Animals, or Msspa. Its work focuses on horses, some from owners who can no longer care for them, others seized by the state because of abuse and neglect.
This past summer, a herd of 20 horses was seized by the state from a farm in Springvale. That was just the beginning of the story.
207's Peggy Kaiser and videographer Kirk Craddy were there the day of the seizure and have followed the story ever since and is here now with more. Hey, Peg.
Well, Rob and Amanda, this really was an unprecedented effort for the team at the Msspa. What goes into bringing a horse back to good health? How would these animals fare after enduring all sorts of health challenges? Over these last few months, we set out to track the progress of one horse in particular. We learned that the outcomes for these horses offer no guarantees. It was an overcast July afternoon when they arrived. Trailer after trailer, after trailer. 20 horses that had been seized from a farm in Springvale, some of them close to death.
I think I want to put her in the back.
The staff and volunteers at the Maine State Society for Protection of Animals, or Msspa, do this work day in and day out, receiving animals that have been surrendered or severely abused and neglected. But this seizure was unique.
I've been here about 15 years. Generally, horses come in 1, 2, 3 at a time, and we know something about them because there's a bit of a run-up to the actual seizure that the state might be communicating with us. The scope of this particular enterprise is really historic for the Msspa. It is the largest by number seizure that we've experienced, I believe, in the 149 years that the organization has been in existence.
The horses that make it to this farm are the lucky ones. The staff and volunteers here work year-round to assess horses that come to them and address their various physical, medical, and emotional needs. They were as ready as they could be to receive this herd, soon to be known as the neglected 20. Methodically and calmly, the team led each horse off the trailers and into the fresh, green pastures. Some of the horses were wild Mustangs, having had little or no human contact. All of the horses would be quarantined until they could be vaccinated and assessed. First glance at the animals revealed protruding ribs, coats in poor condition, feet that had been badly neglected. But the Msspa team all waited for the last horse to arrive. Word had come from Springvale. Horse 14, or H14 as he was labeled during the seizure, was so frail, so fragile, that he had to be trailered alone.
The condition that he was in, if we put him with another horse that was in better condition and got excited on the trailer, because he was so emaciated and weak, if he slipped in the trailer while moving, the other horse could have done more damage as far as injuries.
The trailer door swings open, and H14 tentatively steps out onto solid ground to his new home.
He's going right over here,
A place ready to care for him, a place where he could heal. Few of the folks gathered had seen a horse this emaciated.
He just didn't have food. He just wasn't fed proper nutrition or any nutrition. And because of his age and the condition he's in, he was low man on the totem pole, so to speak. So the other animals in better condition would push him off the feed, and he was too weak to really do anything about it.
He's believed to be about 27 years old. His weight on this day was about 700 pounds, roughly 200 pounds under where it should have been.
So I've been here 7 years and almost a month now. And over those 7 years, that is probably the second one that's in that condition that I've seen come in here. There have been other horses that have come in emaciated, just not to that extent.
H14 in such fragile health has a long and uncertain road to recovery ahead of him. But the care for all of these horses begins immediately. Medications to treat lice and worms, a gradual refeeding program so they can begin to put on weight, attention to their teeth so they can chew properly. Horses' hooves can tell you a great deal about how they're faring. The hooves house many delicate bones that can easily be injured, and the bottom of the hoof must be kept clean, dry, and trimmed. 2 weeks after the seizure, farrier John Deans arrives to work on some of the herd, including H14.
Well, this horse has been like this for a long time, so I'm just going to give it kind of a maintenance trim, not get real crazy and try to get it back to perfect.
That'll come in time, I think.
That'll come in time.
John finds that his feet are not diseased, a pleasant surprise, as is H14's ability to balance enough to allow John to work on his feet. H14 is covered with flies. Normally, a horse would shake his head or stamp his feet to shoo them away. H14 simply stands. H14 nuzzles the camera ever so gently while John attends to his feet. A glimmer of curiosity, and we leave on this day with a glimmer of hope. Now, as much as we were all rooting for H14, sadly, he did not make it. It is a reminder of the heartbreak of this type of work. A few weeks after that visit, he colicked, which is a painful stomach condition that most horses can overcome. But H14 was unable to even stand on his own. It was just too much for this fragile old guy, and he had to be put down. He was simply not strong enough to battle back.
Such important work, obviously, that they are doing over there, and you guys have followed along on this journey for quite a few months.
We have. We stayed right with them, and we will continue the story when we come back. The work continues, and we go back to the farm to check in on the progress of the rest of the herd.
Welcome back to 207. We are picking up where we left off here.
In Peggy's story, at this point, it is mid-October and the herd is out of quarantine.
That's right, Rob and Amanda. Some of the horses respond almost immediately to their new home, begin to put on weight, and do not have underlying health concerns. Others begin to show more complicated problems and will have a longer road to recovery. We are literally to the day 3 months in of the neglected 20 arriving here.
Yep.
Give me a little bit of an overview. I know not all the horses have made it, and I know a few have already been adopted out. So tell me a little bit about what's happened in these 3 months.
They've all been doing very well as far as handling. We've had, unfortunately, 3 that we had to euthanize due to illness and neglect prior to coming to us. We've adopted 3 out also, which is a very good thing.
That brings the herd to 14. Among the original herd were 4 Mustangs, horses that had had little or no human contact. One mare in the group had a filly by her side. Their recovery has also involved gradual exposure to people.
The rest that we have here, like this little girl here, so she's the youngest of the 20 that came in. She's still with her mother, which is right next to her. So she's still nursing, but she's moved on to eating hay. She actually is on a grain feed right now twice a day, along with the rest of these guys. When they first came into us, we couldn't manage them or handle them at all. Where now we can halter them, we can lead them, we can have their feet done, do general basic groundwork and manners.
And they're all standing here while you're standing here, which 3 months ago would not have been the case.
It took probably a good solid month before we could actually really handle all these guys safely.
The progress is slow, and the herd continues to improve. On this day when we visited, 3 horses were being worked and trained in the indoor arena in preparation for potential adopters who were coming to meet them. For others, adoption seems like a long way off. This is Moose, one of the horses who will have a longer, slower road to recovery. He has no muscle tone from poor nutrition, and his gait seems off. It will take time to determine if there is something other than nutrition causing his halting steps. The work of the Msspa is fueled by happy endings, the success stories of horses recovering and going to their new homes. When H3, or Loretta as she is now known, arrived at the farm, she was a bit underweight. Her feet needed attention, as did her coat. But Loretta responded to her care and soon was ready for the next chapter.
Hi, Loretta. Hi, baby girl. You come say hi to me, too. She loves you.
And that is precisely what Loretta has found at the Berkshire Farm in Wayne. Amy Rowe, who owns the farm, was looking for a big horse for her husband to ride.
I want to give horses a second chance at life, at work, at everything.
For Amy and her daughters Isabella and Sophia, it didn't take long to fall madly in love with Loretta.
When you look into their eyes and they just kind of connect with you and they just kind of, you know, I was like, I'm done for. Like, this is it. This is the one. You know, I absolutely loved her from the minute they brought me out to her.
Loretta is the second horse that Amy has adopted from Msspa. It can take about 1.5 years for a horse to really decompress and become themselves again and feel comfortable with the new situation they've arrived in. It takes time to rebuild trust.
When you see the way that they come around and the way that they start interacting with you,
Good girl.
they almost are grateful. They have like a look in their eyes that is just undeniable. Like, they form this bond with you and this love for you because they know that you've given them a second chance.
Amy has instilled this love for second chances into both of her daughters, who are also accomplished horsewomen.
It feels like...
Yeah, that's what
how-
it is. That's exactly,
how it feels.
yeah. It feels like both you and the animal are just taking
Yeah, you
a
both
breath.
like take a
You're
big
like,
breath together.
This is home.
Loretta stands nearly 6 feet tall at the base of her neck, but there is nothing intimidating about her.
She reminds me so much of like that sweet grandma that you love.
Oh my God, yes.
Because her name, it's like, you would think of a grandma. She's older and she's just this big, like, quiet love. Like, I just want to go in there and I want to squish her face because her head is so big. You just like want to squeeze her really tight and she'll just squeeze you back because she's so sweet.
Even though, like, with all the hardship that she's endured, from the minute we went and met her, she's always been a love like this. And she makes us feel safe. Just her presence just makes us feel safe. And I think that's how we make her feel too. I'd like to think so.
A gentle giant.
Yeah,
that's
she
for
is.
sure.
She's family. I couldn't imagine our worlds, our family without her. She is truly special, and everybody that has come into contact with her since she's been here at the farm has been just completely in love with her. She's touched so many in just such a short amount of time. It's overwhelming.
Now, as of today, the herd remains at 14 horses. 3 of the neglected 20, including Sweet Loretta, have been adopted out to new homes. If you would like to learn more about these horses and follow along with their progress or about the work of the Msspa, we will include a link to their website in the 207 section of our website and app.
Those are the stories that keep everybody going.
Absolutely, the happy endings, and we learned firsthand that not all the endings are happy. But boy, Loretta sure she got a good deal.
And that operation has been around for a century now.
At least, well, I think closer to 150 years.
Yeah.
What Maris was commenting on at the beginning, that this was the biggest rescue she could recall. She thought in the history of the 150 years of the operation. So it was a big deal, so much work, and they just are devoted.
Thank you, Peg.
Welcome.